Good morning. I'd like to talk to you about how you should manage your 401k. A lot of times, most of us, we choose a life cycle retirement assets like life cycle 2045 retirement or life cycle 2040 life cycle. And, and then we just, every month contribute toward those funds, and we don't even look at our contributions or how the 401k is performing. So today I'd like to talk to you about that. You are responsible of your money. So when your employer matches your investment, your contribution toward your 401k, you should invest to the maximum that your employer will match. Then you need to preserve that investment by choosing the right fund to invest in your portfolio. What I would suggest is, you look through those options that you have. A lot of time 401k doesn't have a lot of options to choose from. They have mutual funds. You are not allowed to invest in single stocks. But between those mutual funds, you should be able to find few good ones. And so you will first look at those funds. They will display their return for the first 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and 12 years since the date of inspection. So you need to look at those returns and look at the last day of inspection and note those things. So use a spreadsheet to track, to record those funds that you think are high or give good returns, and choose few of them. You can note them on the spreadsheet with all those different columns, and then among the one that you choose, narrow them down by looking at the asset fee, the management asset fee, and then you can narrow them down to 3. Contribute to those 3 equally percentage for 6 to a year, and then revise it again to see if you choose the right funds. I'm going to show you how I've been doing it on mine. If your employer is matching your retirement account 6%, a lot of time employers, they will do 6%, up to 6% of your annual income. They will match it pretty much $101 for $1. So every $1 you contributed will be matched $1 as well. So that's 100% on your return. So you should not invest in any risky assets, but at the same time you don't want to be too conservative either. In the past, I have invested in those targeted retirement fund like this one, for example, and didn't have a good result. Although at that time I didn't have a lot of funds in it. It was just at the beginning, but pretty quickly I knew that it was not the right funds to choose. It was not the first time that I chose those targeted retirement assets. If we go to this for example, let's just choose one here, T. Rowe Price Growth Stock. So when you see those, when you go in your retirement account, they'll have a list of them, and they'll have, the gross expense ratio. That will be the management. They will list the management fee when you click on them. So if we choose T row, for example, it will open a small window here where you'll see those informations. And at the bottom, for example, you can see year-to-date return, or what they are calling about. You will see 1 year return, 5 year, 10 years, and then sometimes it depends on the management company as well. They will have the date of the last inspection, which sometimes will be further in the past. So the older the fund, the better and it gives you a better idea of if the funds is a type of asset you should trust or not. So if we click on more details here, let's see what it's going to give us. You need to do that for all the funds, and it's not allowing me to go further, so that you narrow them down to few to choose from. So now that we click on it, you can see the management fee right there. And then you'll see all those informations. You can look for the inspection date. I'm not seeing it right here, but usually they will have it somewhere on it. So you look at those information and you narrow your funds down to, if you want to cease, and then you look at those management fee to see which one you want to go with. So you need to compare the return against the management fee. If you have two funds or two assets or two mutual funds with the same return, but one has a higher management fee than the other, you have to compare the last inspection date, the return, and the management fee to choose the one you are comfortable with. And if you are now investing, the next thing you can do as well is just, if you have been changing funds for a while, you can set up a spreadsheet and open your retirement statements, the quarterly statements on your retirement account, and list down the funds that you have been investing in. Then you record all those returns throughout the year. And you compare it to how much you have invested in them to see which one is performing and which one is not performing. I can show you how I have invested in different funds throughout the year. And that gave me an idea of what performed and what didn't perform. And throughout the year, and what happened is, at some point, I will change the fund, but I won't move money out of the one that I have or dislike. I'll just stop contributing toward that and just choose another one to invest in. So over the years, that gave me an idea what performed and what didn't perform. And at one point, I created that spreadsheet that I showed earlier to narrow my investment down to 3. I narrowed them down to those 3. They all perform differently, and that's my contribution toward them. And you can see the return here. And looking at just one quarter won't give you, a good estimate. You might think the first one is performing, is not performing well, but I believe is the second best performer. It just didn't have a good quarter. So you cannot just base your assumption on one quarter. You have to track them for several years if you have invested in them, and the spreadsheet will allow you to make that decision. Because if we go back here, the first one here, the one that was negative 185 is the third one down the row. So if we see how it performed, I didn't start investing in that one I didn't start until 2015. And you can see, I think 2015 it was negative $38.91 negative, and then $95 negative $67, and then 26.90. 2017 103, then 137, 350, 335, and so forth. So when we get to the end, the total return on whatever amount I invested there is 5,000. Am I looking at one? That is the third one down the row. So that's $3,084. And the one, and there is another one at the bottom. So you have to track them all like that. But then you go back and you look at how much you have been contributing as well. And here I have an example here. You can see them back here, and they are the three highlighted one. I track another quarter, and those are my contributions. So you can see the T row that we have been tracking is 6,377 invested in the funds, and the gain or loss was 374. So if you look at the return here, Vanguard has almost double the third one down the road, Vanguard Institute Index Institute. I invested $14,000 in that, but that gave me a return of 528. And then I have the TC, the third highlighted one, 5,775 invested in it, and then I have a return of 359. So if you look at those three highlighted one, you'll notice that the third down the row, the third highlighted one is the best performer, followed by the first highlighted T row price. 6,000 invested, 374 return on that. And the third, the followed by Vanguard. Vanguard is the third one down the row that is performing well as well, and that's the second one highlighted. 14,000 invested in that gave me 528. So you can see that 14,000 is more than double 5,775, but the return is not double 359 that I earned on 5,775. That's how we need to compare those funds. And 6,377 is almost half 14,889. But you will see that 528 is not double the return on compared. It's not double 374. So the first that is performing well is the one that gave me a return of 359, followed by the one that gave me a return of 374, and then I have the one that gave me the return of 528. So that's one way of comparing those funds if you are not contributing equally. But then once you chose those three, if you want to make sure that you want to make it easy on you to know which one is performing well, just contribute equally toward them. And that's how I set it up at this point, so that I can monitor it better. And you can see it here. here that's the percentage for contribution. So I just spread it almost equally among them to make it easy. So if your employer is matching your contribution to your contribution to your 401k, I would strongly suggest that you contribute to your 401k. Even if you are paying off your debt, you contribute to your 401k so that you can take you can take advantage of the high return you get from the match. As you can see here, year to date, my contribution was just $2,500, and my employer matched 200%. So that's 200% return every single month on my contribution. And as you can see here, I think that will give you the one that I showed. It was just, yeah, that's for the year to date. And you can see here that since I've been working there and contributing, my employee versus employer contribution is 12,000 against 24,000, and that's before the fund is invested. And if my screen have not been locked out, so that's how I would suggest you invest toward your 401k. It grows over time. Don't steal from your future to pay off your debts. Cut down on your expenses so that you can fit your expenses, your payment toward your credit card within your current living expense. So cut down on your current expenses so that you can pay your past expenses or your debt within that budget, while you are contributing at the same time toward your 401k. Thank you for watching. I'm Nina from marie-ninette.com, and I invite you to visit our website at www.marie-ninette.com. Share, like, and comment on our post, our video on our YouTube channel, and let us know what you like us to discuss to help you in your financial journey. Thank you for watching.